So we've very little to remember in one way, which is why time are so short when we look back on it. But at the same time might seem long in the moment because there is that tedium and that lack of events. My name is Veronica O'Keane. I'm a psychiatrist and I work in Trinity College, Dublin. And I've written a book called The Rag and Bone Shop, which is a book about memory, mind and medicine. All of our collective memory and our personal memory and our fictional imaginations are really based in place and time. The hippocampus is what we think of as the memory centre of the brain. The memory centre of the brain doesn't mean that the memory is stored there, but it is a centre where we form memories. And the hippocampus has specialist cells that can change very quickly, which we call plastic. So it's a highly plastic part of the brain, and it's always reshaping and reconnecting cells to form new memories. But the fundamental cells that we know of now in the hippocampus are place and time cells. Place and time are very central to memory. It is the way we have always recorded information from the world. It's the way we tell stories. It is the way we narrate our own lives. When we're trying to remember something, we nearly always think of place. Where were you during the Twin Towers? Where were you when Elvis died, in my case? Physicists even are beginning to think now that time only exists in our brains, in our minds, and specifically in the way memory works. One of the most important subjective aspects of time is how emotionally aroused we are. Now, if we're very emotionally aroused, time seems to go slowly and things are very impactful on us. You can see that in the way traumatic scenes are replayed in individuals. They see where they were and they can almost replay it in slow motion. And when they're talking about a trauma, they actually present it to you in a pictorial format as 1 second merges into the next. But time is slowed down in states of high arousal, is the point that I'm making. And if we're bored, and if we're not aroused, and if very little is happening around us, well then time does seem to experientially in the present. On the one hand it's very slow, but we've very little memory of it because nothing actually happens. So events aren't really recorded for long periods of time. So in retrospect, the time seems to be concentrated. In terms of COVID then, some of us have been extremely stressed during COVID, and some of us have been understimulated. First of all, we're nearly all in the same place. Now, if place is the central mechanism of recording in the memory apparatus in the brain, which it is, that's immediately going to give us a distorted sense of time. The variability in our location has just zoomed down for most of us to our homes, and that emotional arousal and the sameness of place is going to completely distort our sense of time. I suppose there is also the reduced sensory impact of meeting with humans. The new communications have given us a sense of a shared experience, although we're all individually very isolated. There is a certain amount of engagement, but it's not a whole sensory experience the way it would be if you meet something. We're engaging our imaginations, our virtual space in our brain, as opposed to our sensory brain. I talk to somebody, I can't imagine what it's like to touch them. I can't smell them. I can not hear them in the same way that I would. These sensations are all dulled through virtual communication. And there is nothing that engages our senses more than meeting somebody, greeting them. Even the way we move is reduced when we're sitting in front of a camera. You can't see people's height. So there isn't the same facial emotional interchange. So Zoom talking it's a good substitute for, but it is not the same as the full sensate blast of actually meeting somebody. We can reclaim our sense of time by reducing our stress and becoming active. We do need, within the confines of our restrictions, to do as much as we can and to have as much sensory information coming into our bodies as much as possible. And that means exercising every day, which is hugely important, trying to notice new things, maybe learn about some new aspect of nature, be more observant of your garden, feed the birds, plant seeds, plant bulbs. I think there's a whole level of observation that most of us maybe are blind to. And learning new things is always very stimulating. So keep your brain active, make new memories. There are all sorts of things that we can learn and get pleasure from, even while restricted. I'd like to finish this video by thanking you for watching it. If you'd like to subscribe to the Penguin YouTube channel, please do so by clicking here. My book, The Rag and Bone Shop, is available now, and if you'd like to buy it, you can do so by clicking on the link below. Thank you again.